A burning city. Flames rise against the night sky. Screams echo through the streets of Troy. Warriors run, steel clashes, and somewhere beyond the walls, an army of Greece waits to destroy everything. But inside the city, one man prepares for battle. Not for glory, not for revenge, not for fame, but for something far more powerful: his family. His name was Hector of Troy. While others fought for pride, power, and prophecy, Hector fought for his wife, for his child, for his people. And on a single day outside the walls of Troy, he would face the most feared warrior the world had ever seen. A man who could not be defeated. A man destined to kill him, Achilles. But even knowing he would die, Hector still walked out to meet him, because sometimes the greatest heroes are not the ones who win. They are the ones who choose to fight anyway. This is the story of Hector of Troy, the only man in the Trojan War who fought for love. When people talk about the Trojan War, they usually talk about Achilles, the unstoppable Greek warrior, or Odysseus, the brilliant strategist, or Paris, the prince whose love started the war. But history often forgets the man who carried the entire war on his shoulders. Hector, the Prince of Troy, the greatest defender the city ever had. He was not the strongest. He was not immortal. He had no divine armor. No prophecy promised him victory. He knew the truth from the very beginning. Troy was doomed. And yet, for 10 long years, Hector stood between Troy and destruction. Hector was the firstborn son of King Priam and Queen Hecuba, which meant one thing: he was the future king of Troy. From the moment he was born, his life was never his own. He was raised to rule, raised to protect, raised to defend the greatest city in the ancient world. Troy was powerful. Its walls were legendary. Massive stone towers guarded the city. Trade ships filled its harbors. Gold and treasures flowed through its markets. It was a city blessed by the gods. But Hector did not grow up dreaming of war. He was not reckless like his brother Paris. He was not arrogant like many warriors of Greece. Hector was different. He believed a prince should protect life, not destroy it. But fate had already begun moving toward him, because one decision, made far away from Troy, would bring the greatest war in mythology to his doorstep. The Trojan War began with a choice, a single decision made by Hector's younger brother, Paris. At a divine wedding feast, the goddess Eris threw a golden apple into the crowd. On it were the words, "For the fairest." 3 goddesses claimed it: Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. To settle the dispute, Paris was chosen as judge. Each goddess offered him a bribe. Hera promised power. Athena promised victory in war. But Aphrodite promised something else: the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen. Paris chose Aphrodite, and with that choice, he unknowingly signed Troy's death sentence, because Helen was already married to the king of Sparta, Menelaus. Paris sailed to Sparta and returned to Troy with Helen, and when the Greeks discovered this, they assembled the greatest army the world had ever seen. Thousands of ships, hundreds of kings, and the most dangerous warriors in Greece, their destination. When the Greek fleet appeared on the horizon, Troy trembled. War had come. But Hector did not celebrate the coming battle. He knew what war meant: death, destruction, widows, orphaned children. He confronted Paris. He demanded his brother return Helen, end the conflict, save the city. But Paris refused. Love had blinded him, and now Troy would pay the price. So Hector did what he had always been raised to do: protect his people, even if it meant fighting a war he never wanted. For nearly 10 years, the war raged. The Greeks could not break Troy's walls, and the Trojans could not destroy the Greek army. The battlefield became a place of legends. Warriors like Achilles, Ajax, Diomedes, and Odysseus fought day after day. But among them all, one name struck fear into the Greeks: Hector, the Prince of Troy, the shield of the city. Unlike Achilles, Hector was not invincible. He bled. He could be wounded. He could die, but he fought anyway. Day after day, year after year, he led the Trojan army. He defended the gates. He pushed the Greeks back to their ships. Many believed that if Hector ever fell, Troy would fall with him, and Hector knew it too. One day, during the war, Hector returned inside the walls of Troy. The city greeted him like a hero. But Hector was not looking for celebration. He was looking for someone, his wife, Andromache. He found her standing on the city walls, holding their baby son, Astyanax. When Andromache saw him, she rushed to him in tears. She begged him not to return to the battlefield. She had already lost her father, her brothers, her entire family to war. She could not lose him too. But Hector knew something she did not want to hear. If he stayed, Troy would fall. So he gently held his son and smiled. But when he tried to kiss the child, the baby cried because Hector was wearing his massive bronze helmet. So Hector removed the helmet and lifted his son high into the air, praying to the gods that the child would grow stronger than him. Then he handed the baby back to Andromache and said the words that would echo through history: "No man escapes his fate." As the war continued, one Greek warrior dominated the battlefield: Achilles, the greatest warrior in Greece, perhaps the greatest warrior who ever lived. But after a bitter argument with the Greek king Agamemnon, Achilles refused to fight, and suddenly the Greeks were vulnerable. Hector saw his chance. He launched massive attacks against the Greek army. For the first time in the war, the Trojans pushed the Greeks all the way back to their ships. Flames began consuming the Greek fleet. Victory was within reach, but then something unexpected happened. A Greek warrior wearing Achilles' armor appeared on the battlefield. It was not Achilles, it was his closest friend, Patroclus. The sight of Achilles' armor terrified the Trojans, but Hector stood his ground, and when the two warriors met, Hector struck him down. Patroclus fell, but as he died, he whispered a warning: "Achilles will kill you." When Achilles discovered that Patroclus was dead, something inside him broke. Grief turned into rage, and rage turned into vengeance. Achilles returned to battle, but this time, he was no longer fighting for Greece. He was fighting for revenge. He slaughtered Trojans by the dozens. Warriors fled before him. Even the river gods trembled, and everyone knew the truth. Achilles was coming for Hector. The armies gathered outside the walls of Troy. Everyone watched. Achilles approached the city like death itself. Hector stood alone before the gates. King Priam begged his son to come inside. The people cried for him to retreat, but Hector knew what would happen if he hid. Achilles would destroy the city, so Hector waited. But when Achilles came closer, fear finally struck him, and Hector ran. 3 times they circled the walls of Troy, the fastest warrior in Greece chasing the greatest defender of Troy. Finally, Hector stopped. He turned to face his fate. He raised his spear and faced Achilles. The battle was brief. Achilles struck first. His spear pierced Hector's throat. The hero of Troy collapsed onto the battlefield. But even as he died, Hector made one final request: "Return my body to my family." But Achilles refused. His rage had consumed him. He tied Hector's body to his chariot and dragged it across the battlefield. Days later, an old man entered the Greek camp, alone, unarmed. It was King Priam, Hector's father. He went straight to Achilles' tent and did something unthinkable. He knelt before the man who killed his son and kissed the hands that had taken Hector's life. Then he said, "I beg you, give me back my son." Achilles looked at the old king and suddenly saw his own father. For the first time since Patroclus died, Achilles felt something other than rage. He wept, and he returned Hector's body, allowing Troy to give its greatest hero a proper burial. With Hector gone, Troy lost its shield. The city would survive only a short time longer. Eventually, the Greeks used a trick: a massive wooden horse, hidden soldiers inside. The Trojans brought it into the city, and during the night, the Greek army emerged. Troy burned. The city Hector fought to protect for 10 years was destroyed in a single night. History remembers Achilles as the greatest warrior, but greatness is not always measured by victory. Achilles fought for glory. Paris fought for love. The Greeks fought for pride. But Hector fought for something else: duty, family, and the people of Troy. He knew the war was hopeless. He knew he would die. And yet, He stood at the gates every single day, because a true hero is not someone who cannot be defeated. A true hero is someone who fights, even when defeat is certain. And that is why, thousands of years later, the name Hector still lives, not as the strongest warrior, but as the bravest man in the Trojan War, the only man who fought for love.
Thank you for watching till the very end. If you're still here, it means you truly enjoyed the story, and that means the world to me. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, and share this video with someone who loves mythology as much as you do. Your support helps this epic journey continue, episode after episode. Once again, thank you for watching, thank you for staying till the end. And I'll see you in the next chapter of Trojan mythology.